So Allie, I'm really excited to have this conversation because, AI kind of overwhelms me. And I think you probably hear that all the time. But it's sort of like I remember in college when I would get ready to study for like finals and I'd like spread all my books out and I'd be sort of ready to go and I would have absolutely nowhere to start. I didn't know where to start. That's kind of how I feel about AI, right? Like, so I'm pumped to sort of unpack this, and you can help tool me up and our listeners. But, what are we misunderstanding? Maybe is a good way to start about how to approach it.
First, thank you for having me. And I also just want to emotionally validate you and all of your listeners. And there's almost a plight of the high potential, a plight of the overachiever, where if you were someone that was on a college sports team or you're used to getting really good grades, it feels like there's this thing in front of you that you're supposed to win. And it can feel really hard when there's so much optionality. And so AI is the exact same way, where it can make images and it can make decks and it can run your entire morning for you. And because there's so many options, people are like, I want to maximize this moment, and they feel stuck. So I totally get it. I think we've got people starting at different spots, right? If we were talking 2023, I would start everyone in the same spot. You've got some people who are brand new, just now starting out, some people who have been testing for 3 years and still are at the most basic possible uses, and some people who are advanced. So I honestly think that one of the things that people most misunderstand is that there are multiple levels of usage. A lot of people that feel like they're using AI every single day, and they might be using it 50 times a day, but they are still surface users. They've developed that habit. They go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. They know how to run an interesting question. They know how to, ask something that they would have asked Google, or rewrite emails, or write 10 reports. That is tip of the iceberg. So that is probably the biggest thing that people are misunderstanding now. And again, especially knowing who your listeners are, for the person listening who's like, I don't really care about learning new AI stuff, I use AI every single day, I guarantee you there's something big that you're missing. And so, I would love to talk about agentic AI, the movement that's happening right now, but that's the big misunderstanding.
And so because we live in a world where, I'm 54 years old, right? Like, to me, relationships are central to all of our success. So I think emotionally it's a little overwhelming because it's sort of like, what role does this play in human connection? And so I'm just curious, like, when you feel like you're standing there with I feel like I have the keys to a Ferrari and I don't even know where to drive it and all the cool things it can do.
Yeah.
But where do we begin to unpack this in business and in life in a way that's human too?
There's this weird balance that I think everyone has to sit with. And sometimes it can feel like cognitive dissonance, and sometimes it can feel like a really exciting challenge, which is that at the same time that you want to do really, really big things, you also have to think about tiny little things and like learning this one little trick. And while you're also thinking about automating massive workflows, you also have to think about how to maintain your human level of taste. And so there's a lot of tension that actually lives in using AI. And I'll just give you an example. Like, let's say that you're a business leader, you're having a meeting with someone, right? This is like a very traditional use case. You and I were having a meeting.
Yep.
The goal of that meeting is not to like read through a spreadsheet. The goal of that meeting is for you and I to come together as two humans with expertise, come together on some sort of decision and move something forward. There's so much humanity even just baked into that 30-minute meeting. And so as I'm thinking about how do you come into a meeting so that you can have even more humanity during the meeting, right? Maybe you role play against different problems that you're thinking through. I've built out an entire AI boardroom that acts as a battlefield where I have Melinda Gates yelling at Mark Zuckerberg, yelling at Cody Sanchez and Alex Hormozy and all these people fighting it out in like literally a video game interface where I am going into these moments of, again, deep one-on-one personal connection. But I'm going into it with a more robust take, with a more empathetic view, because I've been able to take into account more people's point of view. And then even in that meeting, you and I are not just sitting in a little vacuum going through the spreadsheet. We are turning that spreadsheet into something really interactive so that if you have an idea, we can literally bake it into that decision in the meeting itself. So you feel more heard, you feel more seen. We're literally able to adapt together in that meeting. And so again, I think a lot of people and a lot of, posts on social media will make it sound like these robots are taking over the world. When you kind of take one step back and you think about some of these bigger AI use cases, you realize that they enable you to be an even better human.
Yeah. I mean, what's amazing though, like what I would be curious about is where do you even like focus? So I'll give you an example. One of my buddies is super locked in on, he's certainly not Allie, but he's got some knowledge. And the other day he said his son came home with a pile of golf balls that he'd found kind of shagging golf balls at the range, and comes home and he goes, "Wow, Dad, look at all these golf balls." And he goes, "Well, how many do you think it is?" And the kid just sort of drops them on the ground, takes a picture of them and goes, 276, Dad. Like, how do you even, I wouldn't even know.
He said that like Rain Man style or like with AI?
No, with AI. That's right.
Oh, okay.
With AI. Yeah, totally. Sorry. Yeah, like with AI.
That was like the toothpicks. Yeah, okay.
Right. But like my friend who's my age and a business guy, he's like, how do you even know like that wouldn't even occur to me.
Yeah. So first I train some of the biggest CEOs in the world. Like I advise Fortune 500 companies and also individual CEOs and executives. What I have learned is that they totally get the microtasker use cases.
Right.
If you, over the last 3 years, right? Like, hey, how to, look up, how to do a VLOOKUP in Excel or just do it for me or whatever. These little moments, people get it.
Yeah.
There are 3 other interaction modes that I find that when I just tell people about it, it opens up those use cases. And so I'll just tell you 2 of those at least. The first one is acting as a live coworker. And so you can be on a live video chat with ChatGPT. You can walk around your city and ask for, hey, tell me about this plant. Hey, tell me about this statue.
Okay, so this is time out real quick. When you say on a live and walk around the city, like
open up the mobile app,
do that?
Bottom right button. There's a little audio wave. You're going to click that. You're going to click the video icon.
Interesting.
Immediately. Okay. If you press just the audio wave, you'll be in a live voice chat. If you press the video button, you will be in a live video chat. And it's as if, like, picture that you're, on a call with your IT team. Like, they're looking at your computer, right?
Right.
We should be thinking about AI as, where do we want to give AI eyeballs? Maybe it's your computer screen. Maybe it's the things around you. But maybe, like, I just went to Australia. I could not for the life of me figure out their version of Dramamine. And so I just took a photo of the entire shelf, took a photo, sent it in and said, which one's going to make me not throw up on this boat ride I have to go on? And it told me exactly which one. Wow. That idea of working back and forth in a multimodal way, not just text, but I'm talking to it. I'm showing it images. I'm including it in a live video. I could have panned the entire aisle. That is a new way of working with a computer system that we're very used to doing with humans. You got to bring that live coworker, again, multimodal live coworker. I know one of the easiest places to start with this, by the way, I think video is actually pretty hard because you're thinking to yourself, what the heck is going to be the use case that I use it for? The number of business leaders and executives that I know that on their drive home, they open up Gemini or ChatGPT. They have a live voice conversation the entire way home. They think through big problems.
Yeah.
They think through their next day. They think through the person they want to fire, hire, whatever. That is now enabled because of this live interaction mode. So that's just one. I mean, there's a couple others, but at the very least, open yourself up, force yourself to have even morning conversations while you're drinking your coffee. Right. And just have that live 10, 15-minute chat and just see what comes out. It'll feel weird in the first few days.
Well, and it's funny, Allie, that you say that. I mean, I mean, and I am, again, not even, I know nothing compared to you, but I'll go on a walk, throw in my AirPods and sort of do this, what you're describing. But what you're adding is this other layer of there, you can add this camera feature too, to say, okay, that's so interesting, but it is a great brainstorming tool. How do we get it though? Like one of the things that makes me a little crazy and concerns me candidly is this potentially baking in of what I would argue could create massive narcissism and you're brilliant. How do we get it to post us up once in a while and say, I mean, that's really not, a good direction. I mean, can we coach it to really be real and not be a yes man at some level?
So I love this because, again, high potential overachiever people, they're used to hearing compliments and they're like, I actually thrive getting some of that criticism. Like, give me the feedback so that I can grow. So there are a couple ways to enable this with AI. And again, every single time that I'm saying like one small feature or one small prompt, just zoom out and go, what does that mean as a framework, right? So the framework of working live with AI, that's one. Here's a framework of assigning AI tasks or personas or different agents, whatever. You can call them different things. But basically, if you talk back and forth with AI, it's going to be like, you are stunning and perfect and beautiful and strong and smart, and I love everything you're saying.
Right.
At its default, because it wants to be helpful, it is quite sycophantic. If you come to it with an idea, it'll say, that's great. It's not going to default to going, Allie, you missed these 6 things. I can't believe you. You're so dumb.
Right.
So you can alter the default personality of your AI through the system prompt. There's system settings for every single one of these AI apps. You can change it. You can make the answers more concise, more friendly, never use emojis, whatever. You can specify that. So you can say, come down on me hard every time I give you an idea. Tell me 5 times it's wrong.
Okay.
The second thing that you can do, which is what I'm doing inside of Claude Code and inside that boardroom example, is that you're going to have not just the one AI that you just asked that question to. You might actually want to pull in a second AI whose job is like the court jester, and then another one whose job is just to criticize everyone else, and then another one who has insanely high standards, and another one who's the voice of your customer. I mean, you can literally have 100 agents weigh in on this. At the very least, just have one extra little checker of the thing that it's outputting. And again, you should start in a brand new, clean context. So if you just got this brilliant idea going on in thread 1, grab it or ask for a summary of it, go into brand new thread 2, or if you're in Claude Code, a new terminal, and you're going to say,
wait. You say like, I've got the chat GPT and then I've got all the projects, right? Like, and I sort of, so is that what you're saying? Go into a project? And then,
you can even just be outside of a project and start a new thread. The big thing here is just go somewhere that doesn't know what you just did. So you can start a new thread that doesn't carry over memory. Depending on what interface you're in, just go to a new something. Whatever you were in before, go to a new version
which you can just sort of stop it and then restart it. Or like when I go from a laptop or an iPad to my phone, it's not connecting those. Okay.
Yeah, and usually in the top right, there's always like a new chat button. You could even have Claude versus ChatGPT fighting back and forth. You just want to go into another area. It is as if you just talked to one coworker in one room and you guys figured out that the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to build this app that allows you to find people to play basketball with in your neighborhood, right? You decided that was the idea. You're not going to go back to that person and go, do you think our idea was smart, Steve? Of course Steve thinks it's smart. Steve just came up with it. You're going to take that idea. You're going to walk into the other room, right? You're going to start up a new thread, start up a new chat. And you're going to say, hey, I need you to really come down on this hard. I need you to find financial risks we haven't thought of, legal risks we haven't thought of, cultural risks we haven't thought of, user, whatever. And someone else came up with this. I didn't, right? You can even trick it and say, this isn't even my idea. I just want to, my job is actually to edit it. Give me that feedback and let's hone it and make it better and poke and prod. And so again, I could have answered this question very technically and said what buttons and whatever. At its core, you've done this in an office space. You've talked to one coworker and you've had to carry that over into another coworker. You've had to iterate on ideas. It's the exact same thing, just with an AI. The big movement that's happening right now in AI is agentic AI coding platforms, which is the really nerdy way of saying it. And the less nerdy way is just AI that does stuff. AI that connects into our systems and does stuff. So as an example, I wanted to run my first ever Google AdWords campaign. I've never done it. I'm not an SEO specialist. I don't know the buttons. I went into Chrome, right? Normal browser we've all been using. I went to Chrome. It takes 2 seconds to install the Claude extension and it's free, right? You have to connect into your account, but you can just add this in. It takes 2 seconds to download. I can then ask Claude and I can say, hey, based on that context that you have about my business, which by the way, I have a 400-line document just with context on my business. I say, based on that document, can you go ahead and run a Google Ads campaign and build the whole thing out with this budget? And it knows best practices for keywords. It knows, generally how to navigate a website. And so it is literally moving its own cursor, taking screenshots, clicking, building the entire thing for me. I can watch it and learn that process, but I can walk away from my computer and do other things while it is taking on that task. So that other interaction mode, other than that live co-working, is delegation. The ability to assign complex, long tasks, like a big research project, a big, model, a big dashboard visualization. I can assign it that big chunky task, and then I can come back to it and edit it. I can ask for, feedback. I can go back and forth. I can do anything. I for example, like this morning, I had to edit Calendly. I didn't really feel like learning how Calendly worked. I just asked it to make 5 different edits. I came back and
so you asked what? Claude?
Yeah, you can do this also in ChatGPT Atlas, which is a browser that you can download. There's also Perplexity Comet. Okay. There are a couple of these. Just you literally open up Chrome, you open up the extensions, the little puzzle piece in the top. Okay. You search for Claude. You download it. Again, takes 2 seconds. You log in, takes 2 seconds, and you can have a free account on this stuff. But and
how does it connect to your ChatGPT and talk to? You know what I mean? How does that work?
If you're using ChatGPT Atlas, then you log in with your ChatGPT account. And so you're essentially still using your ChatGPT account. It just doesn't look like the chat threads that you're used to. You're just doing it inside of a browser. So this year and last year and this year, it's really a proof point that AI is coming every single place you are, not just everywhere you work, but everywhere you are. While you're walking around the grocery store, while you're in meetings, I have AI recording my meetings, right? While you're walking through the pharmacy aisle, while you're on a drive, while you're in Slack, it is able to go into each of these environments and interact with images, with text, with video, with audio. And that's only possible because of new AI capabilities that we've gotten in the last couple of years.
And how is it doing that? Is it doing it because you've gone into that puzzle, or that you've just left your ChatGPT open and on? I mean, sometimes I'll be having a conversation. I'll think I'll have ended it, and then my husband will walk in the room and I'll be like, "Hey," and it's like, "Hey, yep, I'm still here. What do you need?" And it's so random.
Sometimes it's nice just to have it pipe up, and you're like, "Oh, didn't know you were trying to be helpful then." It can also be very strange. I think there's. Sorry, what was the question again? I missed it because I thought the thing was
how is it like when you're in you said the pharmacy aisle or at the grocery store? Is it because you're leaving
how do you bring
it open?
Yeah. So you're kind of asking, hey, how do I even start that experience? And you can have some of those experiences in the mobile app, and you can have some of those experiences on a desktop in a browser. But for any one of these, hey, AI, go literally complete that task for me. For right now, for the most part, you have to opt into it. You have to turn on agent mode. You have to download the right browser. You have to go into the right, button. You're really not going to have that experience when you're just chatting back and forth with ChatGPT in different threads. This is why it's so important to just, even if it's every couple months, I would be happy, right? Every couple weeks if you're an overachiever, every couple days if you're crazy. But you have to stay up to date to know just what is possible. You don't have to immediately become an expert in it, but learning what is possible, assuming that it's for business professionals and not, software engineer.
Right.
Just download the thing, try the thing, even if you don't become a daily user of it.
And so to summarize the thing, because I'm still trying to study for my finals week with all my desk covered with books and I don't know where to start. Where would you say, hey, start here, right? Because a lot of these extensions and apps they sound incredible, right, and easy. But what are some of those, just real quick?
So a really helpful one to start with is just to open up something that you're about to fill out online anyways, and just ask that browser plugin, say, hey, fill it out for me, just to watch it do its thing. You're not actually offloading that entire task to it. You're just getting used to where it might live. That's a good browser start. So you might, have to fill out a customer support survey. You might have to book a Broadway ticket and you want it to pick a seat for you, right? Or a cool sports game. That's one option for browser where you want to be able to watch that cursor move around.
And so you're going up into the top in the puzzle thing.
Yep, you're downloading the Claude extension. And by the way, all these things, you can just go to Google and type in, how do I download the Claude extension? And it's like 3 clicks.
Got it.
But you'll download that extension.
Okay.
It can be like hard to find if this is your first extension. But
okay, yeah, no, this is good. I appreciate your. I mean, you kind of need to treat me like a kindergarten
No, please.
Right over here.
And by the way,
you're used to that. You're used. Yeah, this is what you do.
Anyone that can follow instructions can do this stuff.
Yeah,
like
I love it.
There's something really nauseating about going from 0 to 1. And I don't actually think it's the action required. It's not actually that button is hard to find. It's that you first have to admit to yourself that you feel like you are a decade behind. And then you decide to be open enough to Google the thing to then try it out. And you have to acknowledge that change is happening. You have to acknowledge that nausea in order to take that action. And again, over like top performers, overachievers, you've had to do this so many times. It's just, you have to do it with tech too, not just with people.
Right. And it's like everything. I mean, just start. Start, right? Like, this is not life-threatening moments. Like, just start.
Here's one use case to start with in Claude Code. So we've talked about browser, right? Go to one form fill, ask it to buy sports tickets, don't actually have a checkout, like go through the process with it.
Right.
If you're in something like Claude Code or Claude Co-work, something that or like Codex, something that connects to your systems and can take action. It can send emails for you. It can send emails for you. It can connect into documents for you. It can draft, report, all of that can be done. My actual first idea that I would tell everyone to start with is to start with a morning brief. Everyone needs one. It only has to really connect into like maybe your calendar at minimum, maybe email if you're, trying to really go hard at it. But you connect it into Google Calendar. There are ways to do this. And then you can just set up this automation where every single morning at 7 a.m. you get a morning briefing, and it tells you the meetings that you have, what time, things that you should prepare for. Hey, bring in an umbrella. Hey, by the way, you have this 5th call with this person who seems to be angry with you in the emails. Like that is the sort of thing that maybe pre-AI you just wouldn't have done, or you would have spent about a half hour every day prepping for every single meeting. Yeah.
That is, and the plugin is the ticket. And that's been something I've been missing. I mean, the plugin piece can create so many efficiencies. It can help us organize our emails, all those kinds of tasks.
Yes.
Where do you think AI is?
Can I just interrupt?
Please.
It's 2 buttons to connect Claude or ChatGPT or any of these things into your Gmail and Google Calendar to be able to ask it questions about things in your life, and not just you coming up with the question every single time. It needs context on you. This is the year of context engineering. You need to bring more of you and yourself into it to create the Molly AI, the Allie AI. Yeah.
Where would you say it's creating the most, that AI is creating the most sort of aha moments, most insight, most maybe real leverage for us in business? As leaders on teams and managing a team, managing a business, managing sort of all that AI can do for us, where is it? Where are we best? Where are you seeing it? Because you're on the front lines of this, working with so many incredible leaders along the way.
There's 2 areas, and the second one is almost like a trick answer. First area is that I think AI, now because kind of everyone can build something, like vibe coding is real and can perform very well. I think the fact that everyone can build something means that new systems can be created, which means that we are reinventing workflows. This is a very hard framework for leaders to get, and it can take some practice. But a lot of people will default to like, okay, how can I write emails faster? How can I write reports faster?
Sure.
I would be pushing and saying, how can I write better emails? Or also, should I even be writing emails? And those are the bigger questions to be asking. So how can you use all these tools to actually improve what you're doing or change the way that you're doing it? That is a really big one. I think, honestly, everyone recording meetings was one of the first unlocks of that. Like most of
Okay.
the large companies that I know, they're recording their meetings. And now if you're sitting on a treasure trove of 3 months of meeting data, what can you do about that? You can now, if you have a sales team, you can create an entire system that is automatically training your salespeople every single week on their blind spots, right? You can
Yep.
take those meeting transcripts and you can proactively send hyper-personalized emails to all of your clients. Like that is the sort of use case that opens up because of a little bit of, data gathering or meeting transcripts.
Yeah.
The second one, which I said is a trick option, is if I take a step back and I go, what are the use cases that keep blowing up in my feed and every single person's going gaga over? It's always health. It's always health. And I think if we're improving our health, we become better leaders. We can show up better for ourselves, for our team. So as one example, I use a Bluetooth scale and it measures a lot of things about me, body water, whatever. And I'm able to take that data and I can build out an entire prediction model for figuring out how good my hydration will be in 6 months based on trailing data, whatever.
Wow.
I know I've had people DM me multiple paragraphs saying that Claude saved them from a kidney failure.
Wow.
Another person said ChatGPT saved them from liver failure because they knew something was wrong. They maybe didn't have the resources to be able to go to the doctor constantly and get this stuff checked out. They had all their blood tests. And so they were able to have this live conversation and flag things daily to say, hey, today I ate this, but I feel this way. Wow. And going back to that multimodal part, what if you just take a photo of everything you're eating and send it in? What if you dictate everything about your day at the end of the day and you send that in? Finding new ways to interact to be able to improve our lives. That's what I get really excited about.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's so cool. So you could take, for example, your blood work and put...
Removing your name, removing your birthday, removing private data. Yeah.
Okay. And drop all that in and then sort of say, create a 30-day diet for me to mitigate some of the areas in which my blood work is out of range.
Yeah. And by the way, there are
heartbeat.
going to be some people that are uncomfortable with this use case, and that's totally fine. For those who feel more comfortable, even, when they remove their name and everything, you can ask it for a 30-day meal plan. You can ask it for a grocery shopping list broken down by aisle and organized by price with a price, a budget planner. You can ask it for a 30-day workout plan, and you can have it connect to your calendar and say, based on my calendar, not only find me a workout plan, find me classes to book, find me times that it works in my calendar, and book it all for me.
Wow.
Always start small and then think, how can I get it more actionable?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can go nuts with this. And honestly, this is going to be a weird piece of advice that I don't know if I've given this publicly. Sometimes it helps to have a glass of wine, Molly. Like, you gotta have a glass of wine. Pretend that you're that annoying person in your philosophy class in college, right? Where that person was just in the corner going, I don't know, what if houses don't actually exist? And, and look at your use case and just think to yourself, what would the annoying philosophy person say? And maybe they would look at the types of meetings that you're holding as a team and go, I don't know, what if we just didn't have meetings ever again? I'm not saying that that's the answer.
No, I feel you.
But that is
get
the
it.
right weirdness that we have to think about this stuff with.
And no, I get it. I mean, that's what when my buddy's son with the golf balls, I was like, whoa, which is so remedial, like in borderline embarrassing to admit, but right. I mean, the sky's the limit, literally.
Also, I would love if more parents bonded with their kids over this. Like you just told me, kid knows how to do it, adult doesn't. What a great opportunity for the kid to step up and say, man, this parent-child relationship, I'm going to help you too. Yeah, I know so many people who are asking their kids for help.
For sure. Oh, I bet. What are most people still doing, like, without AI, that they really shouldn't be? Like, where you if you were sort of in the corner of the room, like looking in and over the top of an executive or a leader or a high performer, and you were like, oh my gosh, dude, like I could grab 4 hours for you today. What are those kinds of situations that you see over and over again?
I think every leader is going to be a little bit different, and it depends on their job and what industry they're in. It is my assumption that the majority of leaders are having a hard time tracking what's happening in all departments, having a hard time synthesizing brand new research in their field. And I think one thing that I would advocate for, have you ever seen the movie Working Girl?
I am
one of my favorite movies.
Okay, I need it. I mean,
Melanie
my
Griffith.
team's gonna laugh right now when they hear this because I'm not good at that. Yes. Okay, keep going.
It's Melanie Griffith, and basically she comes up with a new idea for I think it's a new idea for TV, but it's and them acquiring a radio station.
Okay.
But she only did that because she was reading the like pop culture section of the newspaper. Because of AI research capabilities, we can now steal, grab, leverage best practices from every single industry that normally we wouldn't have had time to listen to. So let's say that you are a retail CEO and you're only really studying retail. You're studying Adidas and Nike or Gap and J. Crew or whatever, and you're studying these big brands and new up-and-coming brands. What makes it so you can't just like look into manufacturing? Like, why can't you now look into financial services? Maybe you have this big conversation about retail and then you say, I'm going to show up with humility here. What are 6 blind spots that I have based on all industries that are not retail? So I think CEOs can be making more robust decisions that have gathered data from areas that they had been deaf to, that they had not been listening to, because we can now synthesize things so much faster. That would be a big one, because then I think, again, strength of decision, speed of decision, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think the other one is, again, it's probably more of like a top-down thing, but encouraging speed of iteration. A lot of CEOs still think that we're operating in 3-year timelines, 5-year timelines, 10-year timelines.
Right.
If I talk to a CEO and they're talking about their 5-year timeline, I have to like pull them aside and be like, you don't even have the right like framework for this. Like, what are you talking about? Right. So even just dropping things down into a
6
year.
months, a year, 2 years, right? No, a
year is just about the max we can do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can get there so much more quickly.
Because things are also changing so much more quickly. The pace of change has never been faster. We are in an exponential. And so any business, again, minus like construction or something that genuinely takes that long. But if you run a SaaS company and you're talking about your 3-year time horizon, what are you talking about? No one knows. The AI labs don't know. I've listened to almost every single interview. I've talked to the AI labs every single day.
AI
we're all
labs.
figuring it out together.
Oh, right.
Yeah, OpenAI, Anthropic,
sure,
Google. Yeah.
Sure. Well, and I got to plug.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched your masterclass. By the way,
Thank
learned
you.
a lot there, which was awesome. Love it. I think about AI as such an absolutely remarkable tool that we could be leaning into more. And I speak probably 60 days a year at company conferences, events.
Wow.
And, I think about leadership teams or sales teams, and where, for example, a sales team that I spoke to last week, they're in their car a lot. They're running, they're in their car, they're walking a doctor's office, for example, for meeting. What are the things that, like, somebody like that, right, that's managing a lot of relationships, that's in a sales role, that's trying to curate those relationships more quickly, that's trying to potentially shorten their sales cycle, right? What are some of the things that you're seeing people do in roles like that and do it more effectively in light of AI?
So first, they can look at more signals. That's a big one. Maybe before you used to only learn from meetings, or you used to only look at whether or not they've purchased your product before. You can now look at so many more signals. You can look at every single news release for that company. You can look at every single new hire for that company. I know a sales team that uses, there's a couple AI tools for this. One of them is Clay AI. There's a couple. You can literally use these platforms to get signals that you wouldn't have been listening to before. So I know a company that looks at when a company has a brand new hire in their sell to group, right? So if you're selling into the marketing team, you want to know when that company has a new marketing hire. So they look for that new marketing hire and they immediately use that as a moment to reach out. Welcome to your new job.
Right.
Can I jump to you and talk to you? Whatever. Like,
Right.
that is something that we literally could not have taken advantage of a couple of years ago because we didn't have that signal. You would have to manually scroll through LinkedIn and filter by
or
who's been
Google
there.
alerts, which make you want to put a sharp stick in your eye, right? Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So how
the
do
ability
how
to
do you
grab
do that?
signal, I'm going to tell you one more just because I've done this use case and I stole it from a salesperson who's a crazy person. You talked about getting into cars. There are times where while I am on the path to a client, let's say I'm in an Uber or something, I will dictate every single thing that I want to say, right? Maybe that's a 5-minute dictation, maybe it's 25 minutes, but I dictate all of this into Otter AI. You can do it into a lot of other platforms, but I dictate every single thing. I grab that transcript, I open up my laptop, I put it into Claude Code, and I say, hey, turn this whole thing into a deck using my little, deck skill, or you can just have it be the built-in one. Turn it into an entire beautiful HTML deck using the colors of, Lockheed Martin or whoever I'm presenting to, and have it be an HTML that I can navigate left and right. That means that during your drive, you have figured out everything that you want to say, communicated it into an AI system, turned it into a stunning PowerPoint, and then you open it up in that meeting and you flip through it live. Like that is the sort of thing that people are building out literally 5 minutes before a meeting.
Right. And that's what it feels like the efficiency component is evident, right? The efficiency component is amazing. Like what I'm curious about is how does it take that and make it better? Right. Yes. Because efficiency is amazing, obviously, but the ability to say that it made it not only quickly, but how do we prompt it so that it makes it better than we might have on our own?
So if you're 5 minutes out from a meeting, I'd say stick with whatever quality you've got in your head and just make it pretty, right? We don't have enough time to improve it and go over 6 iterations and add some glitter to it, right?
Sure.
But if you can remove the urgency from a task and you have a day or a week or whatever it is, that's when you can really get into that depth. So I think number one, you can ask it to review it from a couple different questions. And we talked about, how can you review it from legal risk, financial risk, etc. You can set up those personas to view it from different lenses.
Okay.
What I find though, is that I really appreciate when I can run it through personas of the people that I'm presenting it to. So let's say that you're a salesperson and you're presenting to a CMO.
Yeah.
You might want to literally set up a fake persona of that CMO and say, this person's worked at their company for 6 years. They used to work at this company. Now they work here. In my last 5 meetings, here's all the transcripts so you get a sense of their personality. Here's my blockers with them. Here's my strengths with them. Here's the thing that we talked about last night. It's so much more about adding the right type of context. I think a lot of people will say, review this from the viewpoint of a CMO.
Right.
You're like, what are you hoping for? That is
Sure.
a generic nothing prompt. It's a nothing sandwich.
Right.
If you instead say, this is, Michelle, and she has this feeling and this fear and this strength and this weakness and here's all the transcripts and here's how our relationship has changed over time and here's her LinkedIn profile. All of that enables so much more nuance, which will create a better artifact in the end. So there are a lot of times, particularly when I'm doing some sort of pitch or proposal, or when I'm really trying to influence someone, or it's a big risky decision. I do a lot of advising on organizational structures, and I want to make sure I'm not enraging any of the execs in that room or any board members. And so I'll run it through a suite of personas so that everything has been poked and prodded. You might even, by the way, run through role play. You can ask that live voice conversation that you're doing in the car. You can say, hey, pretend like you're, I don't know, my grandma and go through this with me, or whatever the persona is. Pretend that you're a brand new financial associate that hates AI. Talk to me about this. Those are the sorts of conversations you can have. But enabling things to be better is not going to happen by default. You have to really poke. I'm going to give one more piece of advice, even though I know that I've already given a bunch.
No, this is fantastic.
When in doubt, when in doubt, when you're sitting at a blank page and you're like, I have no idea what on earth I'm doing. I don't know how to manage this, right? I assume that you've had that feeling too, where you open up ChatGPT, you're like, you can do anything. Like, what are we doing here? Ask AI to interview you about a problem that you're having, a thing you want to build, a person you want to sell to, and just say, listen, here's the whole transcript from the Allie Molly conversation. Here's what she said. But I want to be able to sell this thing into a CFO. Here's what my pitch looks like today. Help me make it better. Ask me questions to get at a better thing. So I didn't actually have to come to it with 25 new details about the CFO and their strengths and fears. I just said, you know good questions to ask. I know the answers. I just don't know how to elicit that out of my head. So like, you tell me what you best need. And so sometimes you answer questions for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. But have AI support you in that. Yeah.
Sort of flip it in a way, right? In other words, instead of framing it all for them. I mean, where I see, when I was a sports agent, I negotiated all the time, and I would often spend so much time trying to get in the head and the heart of the person that I was negotiating with, to understand what drove them, what mattered to them, what they were worried about, and we could get all that information. But the ability to role play someone who you're going to negotiate with that has a certain persona that is very financial or strategic or whatever, that's incredible, right?
You think that would have helped?
100%. Yeah. I mean, for sure. And I think we're seeing more of that happening now, right? As an opportunity to create reps to prepare for connecting even better. And I think that's an interesting kind of point, right? Because we talk about how we're in the relationship business. I think all of us still and are. But what you're sort of framing up here is it actually creates an opportunity through the use of AI to connect better, more effectively, potentially even more quickly.
I mean, if you're getting a generic sales pitch, a generic negotiation, a generic really anything now, you should have a new bar for quality. You should have zero tolerance for mediocrity, zero 100%. Tolerance for mediocre pitches. Because what do you mean they didn't use AI to improve it and make it more inspirational, motivational for you to buy it? What do you mean they didn't? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Why wouldn't you make me happy?
Right. Yeah, totally. What do you think? I think about mistakes, right? Because I think sometimes that can be a little bit of fear blocks so much for all of us, right? Like I think about, like you made that comment, right? Pull out your name, pull out your this, pull out your that when you throw in your blood work. I mean, like which is, that makes sense, of course, but like, what are some of the other mistakes that you see really smart people making with AI?
There are some that feel more obvious than others. And so I also just want to give people space that, like, if you've made a lot of mistakes, everyone has.
Right.
I think some is definitely throwing in overly private information. But again, everyone's going to have their own level of comfort. There are some people that have taken photos of themselves that you wouldn't send to anybody. And they're like, what's this rash? And just sending it into ChatGPT. So everyone's going to find their own comfort level.
Right.
I think number one is, even though these systems hallucinate very little now, the state-of-the-art models have a hallucination rate less than 1%. If it's a really high-risk use case, you should still absolutely be checking these sources. Go to just traditional Google, make sure that you can find that story on multiple sources. Like, do your legwork to validate it. And there were a lot of stories early on when ChatGPT first came out that people were giving fake legal cases and getting disbarred. Like, that is still prevalent today. It's just maybe a little bit less, or we just don't hear it as much. So, validating the sources for sure. Putting in the level of data that you are comfortable with. I think reading the terms of service is a big one. And even if you just take the terms of service, throw it into AI and say, hey, what does this say about, IP sharing or whatever? Settings is a really big place.
By the way, like
yeah, where the AI is like, there's nothing wrong here. Nothing.
You're trying on the
just
dress
a picture of a groundhog.
And she's like, you look amazing. It's like, yeah, really? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but you can also take the terms of service from one and ask another one to judge it.
Yeah.
There's a couple hacks there. I think Also, using the state-of-the-art models is probably the biggest mistake. I don't know why I listed it last, but there's so many people that come to these tiny little models or the free models, and they're like, I don't know what everyone's talking about. AI is not that great. I asked it to do X, and it totally messed up. Like, if they have not used the greatest models that exist today, and they're finding that that task still fails, it is not the case that AI cannot do that task. It's that you didn't know how to get the right AI to do that task. So you have to figure out what is the latest model and what is often the biggest model, and make sure that you're using that. Like, I don't want any excuses where people go, it couldn't, write my emails for me. We are a year beyond that. If it can't write your emails for you or respond in your voice, you're doing something wrong. And there's a million guides online, some by me, some by others. But like, you have to know that these basic things have been solved.
Yeah. And so what is the latest? I mean, Chat GPT 5.2 right now while we're recording this? I mean, like what?
On day of recording, today is February 24th. So today, the best model inside of Claude is Opus 4.6. And there's also Sonnet 4.6 for faster tasks. Inside of OpenAI, for anything agentic, it's GPT 5.3 Codex. For anything that is just knowledge and whatever, it's GPT 5.2. You're correct on the first part. But there's these little appendages that are on the end of the names. And so if you just use GPT 5.2, it's actually multiple models underneath where, you come to it with a question, you go, hey, I really want to negotiate this thing. What should I do? Right? What's the best price? It's going to then route it to the quick little answerer, Speedy Gonzalez kind of thing, or the like slow professor, or the like super slow professor. And you just might want to default to 5.2 Thinking or 5.2 Pro, which are the thinking professors. Yeah, especially if you're not in a rush for something. Gemini has their own, all these have their own. Right. But you can literally just Google what is the latest model for X and it'll come up. A trick here is that sometimes the platforms themselves can't answer these questions. It's a really stupid fault line. But going to traditional Google and asking that question, you're actually better off. So use the state-of-the-art model, read the terms of service, make sure that you're removing things. Maybe use open source models if you really don't feel comfortable, or use a local model. Use the enterprise secure version and turn off settings of sharing data back to the providers.
So, I mean, when we think about how we can use AI to differentiate ourselves in our lives strategically, not just beyond efficiencies, what do you think are the skills maybe, or the behaviors that are going to make someone more valuable, right, over the next several years in an AI-enabled world? Like, if you take me where the puck is going, let's skate there, if you will.
I'm gonna first give you the biggest possible compliment that I can share, which is, in the world of AI, when you talk to executives, the first thing they ask about is efficiency, and sometimes they don't even get to the past efficiency mark. So the fact that even just during our call, you're like, I get the efficiency. That's assumed. Now tell me about improvements. Tell me about doing new things. The fact that you're even asking that is freaking fantastic. Okay.
Wow, cool. Thanks,
skills. Girl. Absolutely. And obviously, I mean, this is such a testament to your career as well. Like, you're always thinking about how can I not just do things faster, but actually improve and differentiate and continue to be competitive. So I think skills that I would advocate for, number one is definitely adaptability. The pace of change is quickening. You have to not overly define yourself in one box. So if you define yourself as a salesperson who takes 5 calls every single day and walks into the office 7 times a week, and if you define yourself by a task-based, title-based thing, you are going to go through multiple, not just one, life-changing tidal waves of job change. And it's going to be a lot harder to reorient yourself over these new identities. So adaptability kind of comes with that sense of humility. You don't know everything. You can open it up.
Sure.
The second, which I actually think is the most important, is you have to know whatever field you're in, whatever task you're working on, you have to know what good looks like, and you have to quickly learn the most creative and efficient or effective way to get there. So yes, everyone can use vibe coding platforms, but if you have no idea how to even create a good product and put it out into the world, it doesn't really matter, right? So knowing what good looks like, knowing what a good outcome for a negotiation looks like, you know for a fact that it's not just money, right? You know that it's also follow-ons, it's also brand partnerships, it's also product and royalties and all of that stuff. You know that because you know what good looks like.
Sure.
I think also a sense of openness, the ability to know how to delegate these tasks to AI, again, in that weird multimodal, sometimes live, sometimes AI is working on its own for 2 hours kind of way. The last that I think high performers have in spades that I want them to double down on and multiply is systems thinking. So high performers, you didn't get to where you are because you put yourself in this tiny little pigeonhole bucket and you did one thing. No, you thought to yourself, what is everyone around me doing? What are the competing forces against me? How does the economy look and how does that change what I'm doing? How does social media look and how does that change what I'm doing? So the ability to have systems thinking as you approach AI is going to enable all of the things we've talked about during this call. It's going to enable better context grabbing. It's going to enable this idea where you go, oh, I have AI. I can work back and forth with it. I can iterate. I can work with multiple AIs. I can connect it into Gmail and Google Calendar. All of that really comes down to systems thinking.
So when you say systems thinking, I mean, for those of us that, what would be a couple of examples of the way for us to think about that? Like if somebody drops the phone after this podcast interview and they're like, systems thinking, like, okay, cool. What do I do beyond just figure out how to time block my calendar a little bit better? Or what are some of the ways that you see most people doing that pretty quickly and pretty effectively?
This is another time where I would leverage AI itself, right? So I would go to an AI system and say, hey, I'm going to talk about myself for 5 minutes and what I do. You're going to ask me a couple more questions. And by the end of this conversation, I want you to answer the question, how can I get better at systems thinking? How can I incorporate it more into my day-to-day job? What are certain tasks that you think that I should enable AI more on? You can have AI be that sparring partner, that little, backboard. So that's one of just like how to get better at systems thinking.
Sure.
The second thing that is going to be like my more MBA answer is you can, quickly understand where you fall into your work, right? You know what industry you're in, what outcomes you're looking for in your job, who you work with. And it's kind of nice to just sit for about 20 minutes and just think about all of the tools and the data and the people and the vendors and the partners and the economic factors and the commodity, like all of this stuff that impacts your world. You're going to feel very overwhelmed about 6 minutes into that thinking exercise, but you're going to realize, oh my God, for the last, 50 years, I was not able to think at that scale because humans, we can only handle so much data.
Right.
Like that's why we have peripheral vision because we can't take in all this other signal. We just have to know that the lion's in front of us, right?
Right.
That's what AI is stopping. Like we used to only have to pay attention to the lion and now you can look at lions 360.
Right.
So I think, think about all these things that change and have factors on your work, different data streams, different decision points that you have, big decisions that you make throughout the day.
I love
and just kind of sit with it for a little bit and then
Yep.
have that interaction with AI to say, hey, I'm doubling down. What are the 3 best things that I could build now?
Yep.
And as one example, my day is I'm working 7 days a week, crazy hours. I am terrible at email. I was missing urgent emails. And so I built an entire skill that looks through my email, looks through all the replies, looks through like client documentation, and every single Friday morning flags urgent emails that I haven't yet responded to with the answer. Because sometimes I respond and said, Molly, I'll get back to you. That is the type of system that I've set up for myself because I can see failure points in my day and my work in my week. And I say, I'm not allowing 2020 failure points anymore.
Right. I love it.
So
That's
what can I
awesome.
build to fix that?
That's awesome. So in other words, part of when we sit with it is, what are some of my blind spots? What are some of my gaps? What are some of the mistakes, like you just highlighted? I love it. Allie,
your executive coach, right? Your wife, your husband, your kid. You can sit with it yourself, and you can also invite others to roast you. Tom Brady style. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. All right. So listen, I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire real quick. And all right. So what's one AI workflow that you personally use every day?
The urgent email check. I now run it daily.
That's killer. That's so cool. I'm down for that. What is your favorite AI plugin?
Ooh, I honestly really like the legal plugin into Claude Cowork because I don't know how to read contracts.
Right. What's your favorite go-to prompt?
I really like the AI boardroom check where I just get to watch like all these people yell about this idea that I have. And so that prompt is already pre-written.
That's amazing.
I just call it. Yeah.
I love that. One beginner-friendly tool that you'd recommend?
ChatGPT or Claude. Both of those are easy to get started with.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're reading right now, listening, watching, that is making an impact on you that others might learn from?
I'm actually reading a book on systems thinking. That's called, here, I'll look up the title and author so I don't get it wrong. It's dense. It's basically a textbook. But
well, you have 2 NBAs, by the way. I mean, when I was reading I was like, I don't know. And you're an I mean, you are one smart chick. That is for darn
Thank
sure,
you
girl.
very much. I've been working my butt off.
Yeah, you have.
Okay, the book is called Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows.
Cool.
That is what I'm reading.
Cool. I love it. Okay, so who or what is a game changer who inspires you and why?
My answer is my mom, because she was a systems programmer. She wrote this whole research paper on a cocktail party algorithm, and I used her algorithm to create a new multi-agent method. So now I literally set up like a cocktail party for my agents where they are like going over to different tables and having different conversations and going over to the bar to grab more context and coming together. And it is crazy. So right now, especially for the new interface, my mom.
I love it. Go mom.
She's
another
amazing.
Strong, solid woman in
and
your
a tennis player.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know. Well, gosh, I like her even more. So, Allie, thank you so much. So helpful. I know that there's a ton I'm going to lay over top of my world right away, and others will too. So thanks so much for the work that you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you for the work you're doing too, and thank you for having me.